Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today we got a Commander Top 10.
We're doing the top 10 strongest tribes in the format.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily Commander content as always. And if you want to support the channel, there's a really easy way to do it. This is a hack not many YouTubers know. You can actually just subscribe to the channel for free.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's sleeping on the subscribe button, not telling you about it. Hit that subscribe button. Also, you can go over to patreon.com. You head there, literally, give us money, and we're going to be happier because we're supported directly. Beezy, what else can they do?
There's two indirect ways to support the channel, which also happen to directly benefit you if you go to TCGPLAYER.com, affiliate link in the description, buy the magic cards you were going to buy anyway, and then check out. As long as you start with the link, we get some money from TCG Player, not even from you. Free value for us and you, but mostly us.
Yes. You literally start with the link. Same cards, same price, same place, but you just start with our link.
If only there was another way to do that for something else.
Yes. Well, actually, they can do it with DragonShield.com. Best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Go there, navigate to the EU or US link, depending on where you live, and buy literally just sleeves that'll protect your awesome cards.
I wonder how many shout-outs we've done to TCG Player and Dragon Shield at this point.
A lot. It's
quite a few.
It is so many. So let's hop into this video. This is a top 10 as it relates to the Commander format. We're talking about tribes. So a little criteria for this, we're not just talking about like tribes with the strongest cards. We're talking about tribes as a whole. So best tribes to make a tribal deck around.
Yeah, the strongest cohesive deck of tribal cards. So it's like how well do the good cards and the synergy cards and the tribe payoffs mix together to make a deck that can actually win with the tribe cards, I think is an important part.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to hop right into this with our honorable mentions. It's actually a pretty good one. It's Cats. Cats have some cohesive, good cards that work together. They have like 5 or 6 really good payoffs, but then they kind of just fall off into like obscurity and they don't quite make this list.
Arabo is kind of his own thing. There's a couple, like Kasali Slingers is good, but Cats, they're just not strong enough to make it.
Not quite. Close, but. So let's hop right into the list now. Number 10, what is it, BZ?
It's CLERICS. I don't know if this was on anyone's radar, but CLERICS, usually in black-white, that's a pretty good tribe.
Yeah, for commanders, you start off with, you got Aura, who is just, if you're building a CLERICS deck, you're probably starting with Aura. It's the only one that actually pays off the tribe by being a commander. So Aura is your main go-to. You can also go with things like Eiley. She's a cleric. She also puts in some aristocrat work. And then Timna and Ravos just both happen to be clerics, so you can throw them in your command zone.
Yeah, Ravos and Timna just kind of go in your deck if you're not playing them. If you're playing Aura, then all your clerics are just Russian nesting dolls, and you just go boop, boop, boop. But one of some of the best payoffs for clerics, obviously the first one everyone thinks of, is Edgewalker, because it's one of the only cards, for some reason, that reduces colored costs of spells.
Yeah, there's not many cards that do this, and it's very cool that we get this for Edgewalker. Clerics get this payoff. I mean, it makes, if you play this on turn 2, Aura costs 2 generic mana.
Which is weird.
Which is pretty dang good.
Yeah, and there's also Tabarax. Whenever your clerics are dying, he's getting bigger, and you're drawing cards, which is a sick little value. You could play Tabarax as your commander, but we didn't list it for a reason.
Yeah, it's mono black. I mean, that's going to be the issue, is clerics aren't strong enough within mono black. We also have Righteous Valkyrie. Whenever a cleric or an angel, well, cleric in this case, enters the battlefield, we're going to gain life, and your creatures all get pumped if you have enough life, which is going to be really strong.
And clerics, you kind of know what clerics do. Every card that kind of just randomly says gain life on it is a cleric. So they have a bunch of like reach, and they go pretty deep, and there's a million Soul Sisters you can play.
Yeah, there's so many different Soul Sisters. So obviously cleric decks, they're aristocratic. You're going to sacrifice a lot of things. You're going to gain a lot of life. That's all going to go along with the aristocrat thing. There's also some infinite loops. Rot Lung Reanimator says whenever a cleric dies, you get a 2/2 zombie. If you turn those zombies into clerics now they'll die into more clerics. This is an infinite loop. It's going to be super easy. You're going to win. All you got to do is pay it off with something like a Blood Artist.
Yeah, and Aura can even go infinite if this deck's trying to win. Soul Sisters are going to be gaining life every time something enters, and sometimes when everything dies, you got aristocrat payoffs. That's great. But then all you need to do with Aura is sort of reset the chain with a cleric that can reanimate a cleric, and you can just go 5-4-3-2, up, 5-4-3-2, just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what clerics do. So now we're going to move on to number 9, which is spirits. Well, if you didn't know, a spirit is a flying dead guy, so it's a ghost.
Or girl.
Essentially. Dead guy, girl, whatever. There's a couple of commanders you can go with. There's Kitkar if you really want to go multiple routes, but that's kind of its own deck, and it kind of ceases over there. But it does make spirits and sacrifice spirits. There's Raynar and Millicent for your blue-white decks. These are going to be your main choices. If you think, I'm going to build a spirit deck, you're probably picking one of these. Probably Millicent. She's really built for it.
But what about all those black and green spirits?
Which there are a lot of, actually, surprisingly. We can go with Okagachi to have all 5 colors. Is that the most powerful commander? No, but it's a spirit that gives us access to all of them. You could also go with, what is it, Kyodai?
Kyodai.
Yeah, from the new set. Same thing.
There's a couple sweet spirit payoffs out there. We got Drogskull Reinforcements, which gives them all melee. That card just came out. Catilda's going to get huge. And then when she dies, she'll get someone else huge. And then there's also Drogskull Captain, a Lord effect that we actually care about because it gives hexproof. The +1/+1, what you really want to do with Drogskull is clone it, and then everything can't be touched.
One of the strangest things overall for payoffs is Celestial Kieran. It says whenever you cast a Spirit or Arcane, you destroy everything with the same CMC, or I guess mana value now, of that card. So if you cast a 0-mana Spirit, you blow up all lands.
Mugen's Conjurant, baby.
Such a weird card. And the last payoff is in Name Death Aspect, we can put literally every spirit into our graveyard.
This card's sick.
From
if
our
you
deck.
Got Mass Reanimates, 6 mana. I don't even know. It's like 50 Entombs for 6 mana.
Yeah. Overall, your spirit decks are just going to be flying beat decks. You're going to make a bunch of flyers, just go over the top and win just simply by flying over your opponents with evasive beats. But there are some combos, like with Raynar, if you add Ruin Ghost in and what is the other?
Retreat to Coralhelm.
Retreat to Coralhelm, which that card goes infinite with so many things.
It's a good card.
It's actually kind of crazy how many things. So those 3 cards can go infinite. Mostly, they're just flying. Spirits are the flying tribe. You would think it's birds. No, birds suck at flying. It's actually spirits.
Yeah, weirdly, this deck is better than the other tribes with some of the same cards, like Coat of Arms. It's going to go in any one of these decks, potentially. But when Spirits has it, your creatures are way less likely to be blocked already. So you're killing people as opposed to, forcing the chump block.
Yeah, it is a lot different.
Number 8 is probably the slowest tribe. It's Dragons. Big, clunky flyers with usually pretty good enters the battlefield abilities or attack triggers. You're trying to just get people dead. Usually with Dragons, you don't need 50 of them. You need like 4 of them because they're just good.
Yes. So for commanders, you're going 5 colors almost always. You have Tiamat, who's the new one, comes in, searches up 5 dragons.
That's overkill.
That is definitely overkill. Scion of the Ur Dragon has a lot of combos in the go-to. If you're planning on doing dragons, you almost always just go, well, why not the Ur Dragon? He's insane with his Eminence ability that makes every single dragon cost 1 less.
It's like you draw your ramp every game. No matter what. Eminence is great. What a fun mechanic.
Yeah.
So for payoffs, a couple of the main ones, Dragon Tempest and Scourge of Valkis, whenever dragons enter, they ping something, which can be players, equals to the number of dragons you control. So if 3 dragons enter, oh boy, that's 9 damage right there.
Yeah, and on top of that, Dragon Tempest gives your dragons haste.
Right.
Like your dragons, if it wasn't good enough being a pinger every time a dragon enters, no. Let's also give my dragons haste. That card's insane. Crux of Fate, one-sided board wipe. I mean, no other tribe really gets that at all.
Yeah, that's weird. You'd think they would. It's just so easy to print.
It is a pretty easy card to print. 5 mana, wipe the board. But if you're a dragon deck, well, actually, I keep my dragons.
Yep, and Dragon Speaker Shaman, one of the rare payoffs that says, hey, these tribes cost 2 less. I believe Angels has one too, but Angels kind of stink, and they're not on here.
Yeah, they didn't quite make this list. They're probably like the 15th best tribe, but they're not. They're not in the top 10 for sure. We also have something like Atarka. Just gives all of our dragons, attacking dragons, double strike.
Which is a lot of damage. I mean, this thing's already a 6/4, so that's 12. Ur Dragons, that would be 20. Just a lot of damage coming through. The main way you're going to win with these dragons, if you're playing Scion of the Ur Dragon, you're going to win with Scion of the Ur Dragon every time. Because, all right, give it +6/+0 and then give it infect and kill somebody, or give it hexproof and then buff its power a million times, or get an extra combat and commander damage somebody out.
Yeah, Scion of the Ur Dragon is a combo commander really, who doesn't even really necessarily care about how many dragons you have. He wants 10 specific dragons and then he could care less after that. But overall, you're a big flyers deck. You're like we talked about the last deck being a go wide flyers deck. This is like no, get 6, 7 really ridiculously big flyers and just beat in over and over again until you win.
I like the reanimation route because it really takes advantage of the Tempest and the Scourge. Like I said, if you have 3 enter, you deal 9, but that's at the same time. So if you can reanimate all your dragons, you're dealing like hundreds of damage all at once, which is insane, which I think is awesome. Bladewing the Risen's another way to get a bunch of dragons or get a dragon back. And another thing you get is with certain dragons like Hellkite Charger, Savage Ventmaw, Klauth, Old Gnawbone, you get this infinite combat setup where you can just pay 7 mana every time to just get more combats and kill everybody in the air.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a really easy way to go to just win with this. Next, I would say if this was 10 years ago, this would be one of the quintessential tribes of Commander. But it's slowly just, because it doesn't get much support, just kind of faded and went down a lot. It's Slivers. And Slivers are pretty strong. They're number 7 on this list. Everything is a payoff in Slivers for starters. I just want to say that. But for commanders, there's a million of them. There's 5 color commanders.
They're all so good.
They are also good. There's a Sliver Queen. There's the first Sliver. Sliver Overlord, Sliver Legion, and Sliver Hive Lord. If you're not confused, there's an Overlord and a Hive Lord, obviously.
I almost think that's kind of just how we ordered them, but that's almost the power level of them because Sliver Queen's definitely the best and Hive Lord's definitely the worst.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Making them all indestructible is probably the worst way to go overall. For the best payoffs, because we can't list them all, literally
there's hundreds.
Every Sliver is a payoff for Slivers.
Which is why the deck can be so powerful. I think Sliver decks tend to not be that good, but I think it's also fair for people to hold back a little because Slivers can go pretty ham.
Yeah, Slivers, once you put 5 or 6 of them on the board, any 5-6 combination is almost always going to be very strong.
As long as you're sticking to the commander playable bucket of Slivers, then you're going to be in business.
Yeah, so we have Gemhide and Mana Whiff Sliver, which turned all your Slivers into Mana Dorks. That's one of the most powerful things you can be doing. Just absolutely go off with that. We also have Gale Rider Sliver and Cloud Thresher Sliver. These are flying,
right?
Mainly. Cloud Thresher is like one of the best ones because he gets flying and haste. That is like 2 amazing abilities.
Blur Sliver also gives haste from M15, and then Harmonic Sliver. That's basically aura shards. Every time a sliver enters, you're blowing stuff up, and it counts itself.
Yeah, those are all really, really strong. Just overall slivers, and like we said, every sliver makes each sliver better. So everything's a payoff. The deck's gonna win with 1 tribal beats. We've talked about it already. Tribal decks are already gonna have 30 to 40 of the creature in the deck.
And you want to play them, so why wouldn't you try to win with beats?
Yeah, you're gonna beat down with them a lot. But Sliver Queen has a ton of different combos.
I mean, it's 2 mana, make a sliver.
Yeah,
that just gets real hairy real fast.
Yeah, and as soon as your slivers start tapping for mana and you reduce that ability, well, that's infinite right there.
Whee! Number 6 is a tribe I've built in the past, and I took it apart because it was sort of just like too good / miserable. It's Wizards. Wizards is a really awkward tribe sometimes because you want a bunch of creatures, but all of them say to play instants or sorceries. So you're like, well, which one am I supposed to do? And I think you can find a good mix. The main commanders are Inala, who gives you an extra wizard whenever you pay 1 mana for free. Don't even cast it. Don't worry about it. It's just in the command zone. Azami, mono blue, taps wizards right away. She's the Urza of wizards. And Adeliz, if you want to go for beats.
Yeah, I think that Inala and Azami don't really require that instant sorcery side, but yeah, Adeliz for sure is definitely a very confused deck. The payoffs, now this is where the deck gets a little miserable. We have things like Patron Wizard, which say tap a wizard, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Absolutely miserable. If they have like 10 wizards out, nobody's resolving spells.
It's surprisingly miserable because I was like, oh, this is a good card. I'll play this one. If I get a couple wizards together, I can like counter a spell every turn. Nope. If you have 2 wizards, nobody's casting spells because nobody wants their spell countered for literally free.
Yeah, exactly. It hoses everything.
It's so nuts. This is like one of the best tribal payoffs ever.
Yeah, it's insane and insanely unfun. Also, there's Gale Caster Colossus. Okay,
it's right up there.
Yeah, this one's might even be less fun, but at least it's 7 mana. It's 7 mana wizard, and you tap a wizard to put something back to somebody's hand. Oh my god, these cards are not fun.
Some of the more fair ones, Cyclone Summoner is just Cyclonic Rift, but you won't bounce your wizards. Void Mage Prodigy, and we're back. It's sack a wizard and 2 mana, counter a spell, yikes. And Harmonic Prodigy, which is a sweet new one from Modern Horizons, totally fair. Whenever you're getting triggers from instants or sorceries with a wizard or a shaman, you can copy it.
Look at a deck like Inala. Do you want triggered abilities all over the place? Those ETBs, baby. Those are going to be your best friends in the Nowlet. Well, what if we double them up and then double them up again? Well, now we're getting 4.
It'd be super good with Adelies, too. It's like, all right, give my creatures +2/+2, and now I got to cast 3 things, and I get double Overrun?
Yeah, I mean, that one's going to be really insane. Turns out this deck is just a stacks board control deck where you get on board with a bunch of wizards and you just stop players from casting spells, keep everything off the board. Yeah, Azami just goes infinite with a ham sandwich. There's a million and one different combos with this card.
Mind over matter comes to mind.
That's like the easiest one, and there's definitely other ones. She's not the most. The wizards just aren't the most fun. I'm noticing.
Wizards are rough. It's like, oh, I have to police that immediately, or I can't play spells now. And they're also blue, so you're backed up by counter magic galore. There's also dual caster mage combos you got to watch out for, because that thing goes infinite with one other card. You can just play Twin Flame. Oh, infinite dual caster mages. Well, here's a bunch of wizards coming at you. And also, I think another thing you have to watch out for is the fact that sometimes these wizards have Magecraft triggers, or whenever you cast or copy a spell, and then there's just going to be cards in the deck like Fury Storm that just go, I cast my commander once, copy this spell infinitely, and then get infinite triggers.
Yeah, Magecraft can just go off like that. I mean, Wizards just seems like the least fun of all these tribes, I'm noticing.
This is, but they seem real good.
They do. I mean, obviously, they're number 6.
A big yikes on the fun.
Yeah. So, moving on, we have number 5, and it is Vampires. The leaders of the Vampires, I mean, Edgar Markov's your boy. As soon as you think, I want to build a Vampire deck, you're almost always going with Edgar Markov. Not only does he give you access to the most colors, but he's by far the strongest of all the Vampire commanders.
It's weird that we've hit every Eminence commander now, if you want to count cats as honorable mentions. Weird that they're all here.
It is extremely weird, isn't it? We also have Strefon, if you want to go more of a Reanimator Blood route, or we have Alenda for an Aristocrats feel. The best payoffs for Vampires, Captivating Vampires, insane. You just tap 5 Vampires, take control of something, anything you want, and if you get it, and it becomes a vampire on top of all of that.
Yeah, that doesn't require tapping. It's especially nuts with Edgar, because that means Captivating Vampire and 2 vampires, you're already there. You're stealing commanders now.
Yeah, it's so stupidly strong. Cordial Vampire, which is a card that I have read 7 times and misread it 6 of those 7 times until the last time I read it. Because literally, you anytime a creature dies, your vampires get counters. This card is insane for a payoff.
I mean, you could just slam like Kindred Dominance, which is like a clunky board wipe. All right, destroy all non-vampires. Take 1,000 off my creatures now.
It is insane.
That's a win con.
How much he pumps up. It's a 2-mana win con. A 2-mana win con. That card
really
is
crazy.
Bonkers. There's also Indulgent Vampires. It's a worse version of this where you're going to... It's Indulgent Aristocrat, rather. It is a vampire, obviously. But you sack any creature and you put a +1/+1 counter on all of your vampires. This is the fair version of Cordial Vampires.
This card's also like super pushed and it reads so well, and it's just, hey, pump all your mana, sack all your stupid idiot tokens with Alenda or Edgar, and your creatures are just going to be 50/50s, and you're going to take people out. You don't need Coat of Arms, you just have this. It's 1 mana. Bloodline Keeper's a sick one. On the backside, it pumps your team a reasonable amount, and it just poops out little 2/2 flyers.
Yeah, I mean, the vampires are really strong. I mean, it pumps out 2/2 flyers. It's a lord on the backside.
Yeah, it's a big lord. That's not just one, too.
Yeah, it's a double lord. This card is stupidly good. I mean, it's just so strong. Vampires are really good at going wide, so you can just play something like Champion of Dusk, have like 7 vampires. It turns out Edgar Markov says, did you cast 2 vampires this game? Okay, well now your Champion of Dusk draws 6.
Yeah, pretty awesome. New Blood is kind of a weird vampire payoff. It just says, hey, 4 mana, permanently mind control something. And that's not the best mechanic, except for we can just take somebody's commander and ruin their day.
Yeah, 4 mana take somebody's creature is really good when it's not attached to like some sort of enchantment like your mind controls. Like, we don't want mind control. Don't want control magic because those can be destroyed. When you can just take it, that's when this effect is really strong.
Yep, and for victories, we got aggro/tokens. You can go wide with 2 of those aristocrat guys. Cordial Vampire, they're just going to go ham. Alenda combos. Alenda literally combos with a ham sandwich, especially now that she's dying and going back to the command zone at once. But usually you can just put her in the graveyard. She's just going to die, make a bunch of tokens, bring her back, sack all the tokens. She's even bigger, dies, makes tokens, and you just win with aristocrats or combos. And then there's some reanimation with like Strefon. You can do some weird stuff.
Yeah, but mostly this is an aggro deck. I mean, overall, most of your win cons are going to come from absolute beatdowns with Edgar Markov. He takes the beatdown strategy, which can be weak at times, and doesn't even need flying. Because most vampires don't have flying, and just says, I don't care. We're going so wide, I'm going to kill you anyway.
Right, and then if you have nothing better to do or no payoffs to give power, Edgar just does that.
Yeah. Ugh, it's such an insane deck, Edgar Markov.
Number 4 is humans. They finally made it to a playable tribe because 3 years ago they wouldn't have made it on this list at all. Some of the big boy commanders you could play, Catilda is going to make all your humans mana dorks. Kyler is like weird coat of arms for humans. And then Jarina Kudrow slept on Mardu Lord.
Yeah, the rough thing about Jarina Kudrow, I think she's a strong Lord and overall just only costing 3 mana. She's going to be good, but her weakness is that the main human colors now have become green-white.
Right.
So you're going to be playing Catilda. You're going to be playing Kyler. Those are probably going to be your choices and go-tos. Lenore has been leading humans a lot of the tribe, but
she's good.
She doesn't have any payoff, so we didn't list her as a tribal commander. For payoffs, some of the best ones, Angel of Glory's Rise is probably just the best one.
Number 1.
Yeah, literally 7 mana, reanimate all of your humans. It's so strong to just obviously bringing back a whole tribe from the graveyard to the battlefield is always a strong effect.
Well, on ETB, you just can't match that anywhere else. Heronblade Elite's going to tap for multiple mana. When humans enter, Laid to Rest makes them die into cards and maybe even 2 life if you have counters on them. Heron's Grace Champion, that's a nice little +1/+1 lifelink trick. And then Zathrid Necromancer is a real spicy one because whenever your humans die, just like Rotland Reanimator, you get 2/2 zombies. But if those were to become humans by some miracle, then you get infinite.
So that's about the payoffs. The deck's strategy, +1/+1 counters. Finally, humans were given this basically just, what?
A year ago.
Less than a year ago, like 6 months ago now.
Right.
Humans were just given this strategy, and they really do it really well now. +1/+1 counters, meaning you're going to get to play stuff like Hardened Scales. I mean, humans just work really well with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get the largest selection of cards. Humans have way more creatures than any other color, or any other type. Most staples, you got your Esper Sentinels and all this other stuff. A lot of staples just so happen to be humans, and that's great for us. And then the way you're going to win a lot of the time, aside from just beats, we have the Zathrid Necromancer combos if you want to do. But there's also the Angel of Glory's Rise. That's a messed up magic card. We don't have that anywhere else. No tribe gets that. And because we get it, we get to just go, hey, Fiend Hunter it. Sack the Fiend Hunter. Get all my creatures infinitely for like no effort.
Yeah, it's a very easy combo to do. Humans go infinite with a lot of different things. Fiend Hunter's a really good card for looping. All right, top 3 here. These are the big tribes. You've seen them, you know them, you love them. Number 3, Goblins. Mono red. This is the first tribe that's going to be in a mono color overall, mostly. But they got some awesome commanders. You got Muxus, which is going to enter the battlefield, find a bunch of goblins for you. Just fill your deck to the brim with goblins. You're going to be happy. Krenko, probably the actual best commander for goblins. If this thing has haste, good luck ever beating it. It's literally exponential. It's crazy.
Yep, and then there's also Pashilic Mons. Boy, is this the 3rd best option. It kind of gives you dice triggers, and you can sack goblins to make more goblins. That's okay. The best goblin, I don't even think is close in any of these decks. Is probably just Skirk Prospector. Sack a goblin, add a red. Turns out that's insane. That's just Phyrexian Altar.
Yeah, that card is really, really good. It just turns your goblins into making, more goblins. So you can just sack them, get an effect. These decks are really good with Perforos and Impact Tremor. So your goblins can enter, do a thing, then sack them off and play more goblins. Just a super strong effect. Probably the best payoff in literally all of goblins is just Goblin Recruiter. No other tribe gets this. This card is insane. 2 and a red for a 1/1. Search for any number of goblins, reveal them, then stack your deck with them. What? That's not even a real card.
It's pretty insane because you're going to go get things like Goblin Chieftain, give my guys +1/+1 haste, get my Goblin Trashmaster, make it so that I'm holding every artifact on the battlefield hostage if you want to play a board wipe. And then there's also, if you're recruiting, you want Conspicuous Snoop because that's just going to win you the game outright because that card is really good. If you're not playing Snoop in your Goblins deck, you're missing out because that thing goes infinite with Kiki Jiki and some other bad boys.
It's interesting. Like you said, you think Skirk Prospect is the best one, but it is so close between Skirk, Goblin Recruiter, and Conspicuous Snoop. These are 3 insanely strong tribal payoffs for goblins.
I am also a big fan of
I said Conspicuous Snoop. You heard me. So obviously this deck is going to win with go wide. That's the main strategy. You go super wide with goblins. You just beat in, but you're going to do your Perforoses. You're going to do your Goblin Bombardments, Impact Tremors, all of these things. And Snoop, like BZ mentioned, it has a bunch of combos.
Also, if you play Muxus as your commander and you cast him on turn 2 or 3, you're probably going to win. I mean, we played a game where Joe cast Muxus on turn 2 with Jeweled Lotus and Mana Vault. Oh, that was turn 1, sorry. My bad. It was turn 1 Muxus, and he just killed me on turn 2.
Yeah, that is something that can definitely happen with these kind of decks.
All right, if you can't guess the next 2 tribes, I'm sorry, but you probably just forgot about them. Number 2 is zombies. They've just been getting continuous support since like 2011 in regular Innistrad.
Yeah, they've become a very, very focused tribe and one of the literal best tribes. They're number 2 overall. For commanders, we have Will Health. This is probably now the go-to commander for it. It is made whenever your zombies die, they die. If they don't have Decayed, they died into Decayed zombies. This has infinite combos with it. It literally loops with another card in zombies. There's also Verena, who's going to give you white, and when she attacks, she draws and discards. That's a lot of cards. And if you randomly want to gain life, sure, she can do that.
And I'm sure there's pseudo combos where you can set up like, all right, sack a zombie, make 2 mana, use the 2 mana to make a zombie from my graveyard, and just keep doing that until you find something. There's a bunch of payoffs. I mean, Scarab God is another one. It's like, kind of zombies, make zombies, cares about them, but it's not a zombie.
Well, yeah, the main thing that makes him a zombie commander is his ability. It triggers
the drain, yeah.
It's the number of zombies you control. So it is a zombie. It has the zombie payoff in there, but it is a weird one because it doesn't really care that you're playing zombies because it makes zombies itself.
Yeah, the zombie payoffs are some of the most famous tribal payoffs because they're just so good. You're just like, what? Necro Duality? Oh, I'll just get 2 zombies whenever one enters. Zombie Apocalypse? I'll destroy all humans. Just get all my zombies back. Here they are.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't quite as good as like Angel of Glory's Rise, but because it's not an instant, but it's still really strong. You also have Rot Hulk. That card's insane. For each opponent you have, reanimate a zombie.
That card goes infinite with ham sandwiches.
Yeah, these cards are so strong. Rooftop Storm. All right, talk about no other tribe having this. Your zombies cost 0.
Is that good? Can you combo with that card?
Extremely, extremely easily because the card Gravecrawler is in zombies, and Gravecrawler is bonkers.
That might be the best zombie. Surprisingly, it might just be Gravecrawler. Sorry to all the zombie fans out there. Undead Augur's amazing. All your zombies die into cards, even tokens. And Cleaver Scab can just clone zombies and make things you're not supposed to have 2 of, like Rot Hulk.
That's such a cool thing. Oh my god!
It cuts them in half and then they sew together or something. I don't know what the flavor is.
It literally. Well,
it's sewed together and then it cuts people in half. And zombies are apparently starfish, where they just grow 2 new zombies.
Yeah, they're just 2 new of the same zombies. So the way you're going to win with this, I mean, you can go wide. There's some beatdown, but that's not the main thing. Mass reanimation. You're going to bring everything back from the graveyard simultaneously and just have a ridiculous board. Gravecrawler, infinite loops. There's a million of them. You can go infinite with, your altars, as we always talk about, and there's Rooftop Storm, which is obviously insane.
Yeah, Pitiless Plunderer too. Grave Merchant's a zombie. If you spam that thing 3 times, the game's over. Kind of annoying, but hey, that's the way to go. I mean, it's still better than the Wizard's plan. And I think for the mass reanimation, that's another thing you're taking advantage of. You go, sack all my zombies, trigger things like my Vengeful Dead, and there's a bunch of variations on this that say target player or each opponent. And then they're all dead, and then they come back. One of them's Grave Merchant. They lose another 18, and you just sack them all again, and the game's over.
Yeah, because there's like Plague. I think it's
Plague Belcher,
Vengeful Dead, and there's the blue-black one.
Diagraph Captain.
All of those trigger upon your zombie deaths. So
it's easy to win.
Yeah, zombies are real good. So we're on the last one, and this is the easiest one. I don't even think it's close.
No, it's not.
I mean, it is by far the best tribe in all of Commander, and it is Elves.
There's not even much that we can say that hasn't already been said. I mean, Elves are really simple. The reason they're so good is because every elf is on the exact same page with what they want to be doing. Make mana, use mana. Like, that's it.
So the whole idea of the decks is to just generate so much stupid amounts of mana that you're going to go infinite. You're going to be unstoppable. I mean, sometimes you'll attack, but you don't even care about that because almost always you're going to be infinite comboing. Your main commanders, you got Azuri. He's out there hanging out. Lathril, if you actually want to do the 2-color thing. Just last year, we finally got a green-black one to let us actually go into black. And Marwyn, I mean, she's pretty bonkers.
She's got her own thing going on.
She gets really big really quick and goes really infinite really quick.
Yeah, so Azuri's got the infinite mana payoff right there on the commander. Marwyn has the enabler for a bunch of infinite mana stuff. And then Lathril's like, hey, look at me.
I'm fair.
Tap 10 elves. I mean, actually, tap 10 elves, somebody loses 10. That's real easy to go off with, too. But some of the best payoffs, Priest Titania and Elvish Archdruid are the main ones you think of. There's also 3 other versions of this card, but I'm not going to list them all because we don't have 2 hours. They tap for a mana all your elves, equal to all your elves, and that's just insanity because there's a lot of ways to make elf tokens, like
Elven Ambush, which, makes an elf for each elf you have. You can just make a bajillion elves, and you're going to overrun. That's how you're going to win a lot of games. That's how you win with combat, but Actually, it's not combat. It's just so much damage no one could ever block it.
It's not real combat.
Yeah, there's also Warrior with Symbiote. This card is weird. This is the so we talked about like the last two tribes. Like, what other tribe has this? No tribe has this weird effect.
They'll never actually. No tribe's ever going to get this one. The other ones maybe. Nest isn't going to be printed again because the ability is not templated properly. The cost is bounce an elf.
Yeah, it's so weird. Such a weird effect.
Oh, man, it's so good. It lets you protect your team from board wipes. If you go, here's my crazy board. Obviously, it has to be wiped. All right, activate Warrior with Symbiote. Bounce my best thing. Pass. If you don't wipe the board, I'm going to bounce my next best thing on your turn.
It's really, really silly, and Heritage Druid will pay you off. And like we said, you're just going to win with infinite combos all over the place. And the attacks that are so big, they're basically not real combat. Like, this is not a combat deck that you're going, like, beat him for 2, beat him for 3, attack for 10. No, it ends in an attack for 4,572.
Yeah, Crater of Behemoth's a big offender here. There's also Azuri for pumps. And a lot of the infinite mana combos come with, like, Umbral Mantle. If your creature taps for 4 mana, you get infinite mana. That's why Marwyn is, like, kill on sight every time or you're going to lose.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's just so good. It's just so...
It's not flashy,
so
but I love elves personally. They're my favorite type. It's just because they happen to be the first one I was introduced to and played in Standard, and that's still my favorite.
And I think elves are the lamest tribe in all of Commander.
Ooh, you're lame.
No, elves are lame. But that is our video. Special shout-outs to every single one of our patrons. Thank you all for the direct support via patreon.com.
If you want to support us another way, TCGPLAYER.com. You can go there, buy the cards you were going to buy anyway, and then when you check out, we get money in our pockets for free. No money extra spent by you.
Okay. Why was everything a question?
I don't know.
Well,
what else is there?
Weird inflection. You can also go to DragonShield.com. Same thing. You go to that website, buy the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
And then, I don't know what, BZ's breaking my brain. Then you buy those sleeves, and the Nitpicking Nerds get a kickback as long as you started with our link.
So here's what I'm thinking. I think we should list 10 patrons who are awesome.
Yeah.
First up, we got Tristan Husey. That's how I'm going to say it.
I think it's Hussey, but...
Thanks for supporting the channel. It's definitely Husey.
I think it's Hussey.
Nope.
All right, we also have David Franz. I think he's French.
He's David from France.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor Faulkner. That reminds me of Taylor Lautner.
Someone we actually just did a tune-up for, Clint Hahn, his name is Clint, space Hahn, but it's just, if you just say it fast, it's Clinton.
No, it would be Clinton.
Clinton.
Clinton. Because the TH.
Well, I'm not putting it together. It'd be Clint Hahn.
Oh, if you just read the first and last name.
If you just read it, it's just Clinton.
All right. Oliver Zachary. That's a cool name. It's like Zachary, but with an S.
Yeah, it's Zachary. We also have Acrid the Scarecrow, classic, just a scarecrow supporting us.
Might be the first scarecrow we have supporting us. There's also Timothy Jacobs. That just sounds like such a real name. And I feel like I know somebody named Timothy Jacobs. I don't know. It's just such a that's a person's name that I know.
Yeah, that sounds
Let
right.
us know if you know a Timothy Jacobs.
So I got the Scarecrow, and obviously next is The Egg.
Oh, that is a top tier name.
Thank you, The Egg, for your support.
The Egg, not just any egg.
The one, the only, The Egg.
And there's also Nathaniel Holland, but not like H-O-L. It's like H-A-A-L. It's like Holland.
Also, Steven Sanchez, also a very real name.
Ooh, that is a really real name. Steve, if you know a Steven Sanchez or a Timothy Jacobs, put it in the comments.
So I share my opinion on the internet all the time. Literally all the time. That's what I do for a living. I just made a whole... In fact, if you're here, you had to have just... Well, most likely, because I don't know who skips the tidbit. You most likely just watched a whole entire video about my opinion on the internet. Mm-hmm. I hate sharing my opinion about movies because people are so annoying when it comes to movie opinions specifically.
Yeah, I can't... There's just like this huge subsection of people who are like... staunchly contrarian on like, this is a popular movie. I'm going to tell you all the reasons I don't like it and leave out all the reasons I like it and just make it seem like I'm pooping on all of the popular stuff. It's like the mass appeal, like we could say like the new Avengers movie. It's like, oh, I hate all Marvel movies. It's like, but would you hate them if they were like small indie films with like the exact same production value? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's definitely that type of group of people on the internet that are just like going to crap on everything, and it's a little annoying. Or one other thing that you can comment on is the movie buffs.
I mean, I don't care. Like everyone's allowed to have their opinion on movies, but where I come in and I just don't like is everyone wants to argue and tell you why they think what they think,
or state objectives,
and just be like, I didn't think this game was good, or this movie. I mean,
hey, games too.
So yeah, it is games too, and it comes to the same thing. It's just like, just I just basically don't care. Just enjoy what, like, media is so subjective. Just enjoy what you enjoy in media, and like, you don't have to poop me. And something that was really annoying with the Batman specifically is like everyone had to compare it to the Dark Knight. It's like, but why? Why can't it just be a Batman movie? You don't have to compare it to the Dark. You actually just don't at all.
Right, there's just 2 movies, right? You don't have to. They're both Batman movies, but you don't do that with any other movie where it's like, hey, this movie had a boat in it too. This movie was on a boat. Let's compare this to Titanic.
Jaws versus Titanic. Let's go.
We don't need to do that. Maybe it's better to just frame everything through the lens of like, hey, I enjoyed this movie because.
Yeah.
Not like you shouldn't enjoy this movie or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sharing opinions about movies on the internet just drives me nuts.
Shaky.
It's not fun to me.
It's not for me.
Because I know, even in the comment section, people might go crazy because I like the Batman. It's like, oh,
what are you insane?
I think the consensus is most people like the Batman, but that's okay. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.